She's got a ticket to ride. Hi everyone, I'm Jacob, I'm the Cowhat Librarian, and I'm excited tonight to talk about Air by the very talented Monica Rowe. Emmy is 12 years old, and she's grown up in a wheelchair. She's really good with her wheelchair, in fact. She is a big fan of WCMX, wheelchair motocross, where people perform all sorts of stunts in amazing tricked out wheelchairs. Hers isn't quite up to that standard though. She rides a fairly normal nondescript one, but when she puts her pads and helmet on and she goes on the skateboarding ramp her dad made when she was younger, she can fly. Now, she's not really supposed to be doing that sort of thing. For one, her chair really isn't up to the standard of getting bounced around quite that hard. And two, her dad has said multiple times that that ramp is pretty dangerous. Now, he's gotten more conservative the last few years after Emmy's mom passed away. And she realizes this, but at the same time, she needs to do this. She needs to not just be a charity case in a chair. And so during her days at school, she pops wheelies in the hallway and roars down the hall as fast as she can while still doing it safely, and other things that don't exactly endear her to her principal, a newly arrived doctor. Not a medical doctor, a PhD style doctor, who has different ideas about how she should be conducting herself in her wheelchair. Well, things come to a head one day where Emmy is heading down the ramp from one of her portable classrooms, and a classmate attempts to help despite her being very clear that she does not want any help whatsoever, and she takes a tough fall and hurts herself. And he falls and hurts herself, and she hits him afterwards. And in the ensuing meeting with her dad, they agree that she can have an aide follow her around. And this stinks. Emmy has been fighting for her independence all her life. Her mom fought very hard to apply the same standards to Emmy as anyone else, just that she'd need a little more time to get through the hallways if they were busy and would need a ramp in place of stairs. But with everything that's happened, with her injury, with her dad not being crazy about the whole ramp incident at home, their capacity to fight has gone down. And so she ends up with this aide, a very well-meaning young woman, but one who is fairly patronizing, who gets in the way a lot, and who isn't helpful at all. Meanwhile, Emmy is saving up for a new wheelchair, one of the fancy ones that she could do WCMX with and do it quite well. And she and her best friend have a small online business that they work on together. They sell craft supplies that they gather in the woods near their houses, things like big pine cones and Spanish moss that they sell to crafters. And Emmy creates custom one-of-a-kind wheelchair storage bags that she decorates and puts words on and sells online. In the process of things, she's contacted by an older woman from Alaska who has an email address something like AK Granny, AK being Alaska, not a weapon, who asks her for a bag that has profanity on it, telling people basically to mind their own business. She's got this. And Emmy waffles a bit on it about whether she wants to create that sort of bag or not, but eventually gives in. So Emmy's doing quite well for herself. She's being independent. She's earning money for this big project. She's about a third of the way there, and her friend is getting closer and closer to affording a fancier beehive and training because she wants to become a professional beekeeper someday and has a few smaller hives of her own. When she gets saddled with this new aide, and all of a sudden things change for the worse. She can't ride down the hallway because her aide has to come with her. She can't just do her homework by herself because the aide's there. She can't talk with the boy she has a crush on because the aide's there. So she gets pretty fed up and starts being not so nice to the aide. A little bit rude, but also devises a plan with her friends where she'll just duck out on the aide. They'll surround her and distract the aide long enough that they can take off before the aide realizes what's happened. It's great. Emmy is a character for the ages. She is smart, she's tough, she's feisty, she's 12 years old, but is clearly capable of anything. As long as, the powers that be have invested the tiniest bit of effort into making a place accessible. Her school doesn't have automatic doors at all. Doesn't matter. She can open them. She can go right through them, no problem. Well, it might take her just a moment, but she's got it. Heck, she even holds doors open for one of her classmates who's in a electric wheelchair who can't open the doors by himself. She's just a compelling character. Her relationship with her dad and her best friend is very, very real. The tension between her mom's family and her dad and her is very, very real. And the exchanges between her grandma and her dad are ones that I could very, very, very easily see happening. A husband losing his wife and a mom losing their daughter, and it's the same person. And the conflict between them over losing that same person that they loved so much, it was amazing. Emmy's dad is a pretty good character. He was a little one-dimensional at first, but as they got into things and you learned more about him, his more daredevilish youth, his relationship with Emmy's mom, his desire to do right by Emmy and everything else, it was amazingly well written, and I honestly can't praise it enough. So if the reader in your life like things like Cleo Edison Oliver, Playground Millionaire, they might get a lot out of Emmy's entrepreneurial spirit here. If they like things like Rolling the Dice, the graphic novel about the girl who had OCD and decided things with a die roll, they might get something out of this one as well. Now, with that all said, there are spoilers ahead because I have to talk about the deal breaker. So there's not much here this time for a deal breaker. The only thing that bugged me a little was that I don't believe the average everyday wheelchair is really capable of taking as much damage as Emmy inflicted on her poor ride. Now, to be fair, the book does talk about the scuffs to the armrest and that things had to be taped back in place and that her dad acted as a mechanic to keep her wheelchair running, but still, she did so much damage to that poor thing that I'm not sure a real wheelchair would have survived it all. Now, to carry on with the spoilers part of this, once all this stuff has happened and Emmy talks to her aide about how she's raising money for this fancy wheelchair she wants, her principal takes it up as this big crusade to get her money for her wheelchair, and people donate money, and it seems like a pretty good deal to Emmy, but it causes conflict with her friend because she feels like Emmy's abandoning her dreams if she's no longer going to be running the store. It's great that people are donating the money to help with this wheelchair, but it won't do anything for her future as a beekeeper. And Emmy receives a similar mixed reaction from the Alaskan grandmother, who sort of comments, well, I thought you were doing fine saving for this on your own. In a bit of an unexpected twist, at the end of the book, there's going to be a big presentation where Emmy is given this big check to pay for the wheelchair of her dreams. And instead, she makes a big announcement about how she's not going to spend the money on the wheelchair. She's going to donate it to the school so they can put it towards actual proper accessibility options with proper ramps and automatic doors and the like. And then she proceeds to take a flying leap off the stage in her wheelchair and out of the auditorium, quick as money. It was unexpected. There was build up for her having a plan for this assembly, but I didn't really think she was going to pull that off. And in the end, she makes enough money, buys her fancy wheelchair, and it turns out that her dad's secret project that was keeping him from doing so well in his night school work was building a better, more accessible ramp that she could use in his shop. So it was a happy ending. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. The characters felt real, and I highly recommend you check it out from your local library. And on that note, if you're a parent or a teacher and you appreciate the services your public library offers, please take just a minute to talk to the powers that be and tell them that. Talk to your municipal council, talk to your MLA, and let them know that public libraries matter to you. We're at a time where some public libraries are having trouble finding sustainable funding to keep supplying you with the programs, materials, and services you need. And a few good words in the right ears can make a world of difference. And to the library staff members out there, don't forget, watching my videos counts as professional development time. With that, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to me ramble about this book ad nauseum. By all means, please like, please subscribe, and please check back to see what else I have to talk about from the Cowhat Library. Thank you. Bye now.